So they turned this city into like a racketeering city. You know, there's some black American people that are working for the ticket office and they keep trying to bump into me. I'm not in their way and I'm not a risk to their job. One of them was pushing, he had a broken leg also. And the other guy wearing a white shirt will be coming around me trying to bump into my bags. No. If they're trying to file workers' compensation claim or personal injury claim on the job, they shouldn't be using me as a, I don't know. So that's it. He keeps coming around me and almost trying to trip on my back. They're trying to file a workers' compensation claim, you know, and one of them was wearing a purple shirt like this, purple apron, you know. Excuse me, what's the name of your company? What's the name of your company? You don't want to tell me? You know, they're so rude. The ones with the purple uniform, one of their members was chasing me, trying to beat me up. Some of them are very violent, and I reported them to the supervisor. I was just sitting here, because when I go into the park, people try to kick me on my leg, and my mother does to come here. Volantly, you know, as someone that looks like her, I was hitting me with the orange slippers, and they have their police ready to make arrest, so I'm not trying to get into violence to anybody. Then, you know, so I sat here, I was eating, I was so tired. You know, I normally go to the park to sit down, but they bothered me there also, and the police don't help me. Because the Statue of Liberty tour guides, the ones with the purple apron, purple uniform, yeah, they're the ones bothering me, and they're like a racketeering. I think that they're trying to set me up so they can trip on my bag and make claims of workers' compensation, personal injury. I saw a guy also was it's also a tour guide. It's also a tour guide for the Statue of Liberty, but I don't know if he works for the purple uniform ones. He was pushing a walker. His leg was broken also. And I noticed a woman, a black American woman, and a man wearing white shirt. They're like tour guides, and they keep trying to bump into my back. You know, so that's racketeering, that's extortion. You know, so I don't know why, you know, businesses can hire people to try to extort. So I'm being bothered in this neighborhood, and anywhere I go, they're having black Americans attack Africans. I say some of them want reparation, they say Africans, so they're ancestors to slavery. So I'm being harassed as this Trump is engaging in immigrant abuse, whereby they arrested immigrants, deporting us. So this is, what's this place called? Broadway. Yeah, Broadway and near the City 4 train Bowling Green. Near the 4 train Bowling Green station. You know. So they have people that try to bump into my bag. They are working. I don't want them to use me as a workers' compensation, you know, fraud scheme. You know. So I'm a Nigerian transaction. This is what I'm experiencing. My mother said that daughter that I've been seeing, that Bolale, who killed my mother for inheritance scam money. My mother said she's into inheritance scam for us. Be very careful around her. You know, and since they just want to have me beat up and killed, and she take the money. They said they call people, some people ambulance chasers in America, people or grave diggers or whatever they call them, people that are willing to kill for money. So I say love Africans, and yeah, that's the other guy. You know, he comes around me also with a broken leg, and I don't know what company he works for, but there are those with a proper uniform that keep coming around me. I'm trying to bump into my back, and one of their workers tried to beat me up. You know, so I don't know if they're trying to set me up to be killed. I'm trying to sue U.S. Immigration. I was arrested wrongfully by U.S. Immigration in 2000. I was a minor child. I came to the country with my mother, and I was the only one arrested. They said my mother shouldn't have brought me, and my mother was wondering why they only arrested me and not her also. You know, they said children are not allowed in America, and that case lasted 8 years. You know, so my mother's daughter eventually killed my mother. Me and my mother was planning to sue U.S. Immigration, and we were also suing the NYPD for taking our home. Me and my mother's almost done. Our daughters live in Pennsylvania, so they were jealous that we could get money, and they wanted to kill my mother so that the money would go to them. I said, everything.
Top view.
Huh?
Top view.
Talvia, okay. Yeah. That's the name of your company? Talvia, okay. And what's your name? You don't want to, because you keep coming close to me. I don't know what that is about. I was like trying to bump into my back. I kept telling him, sir, you're too close to me. You're too close to me. He wouldn't tell me the name of his company. So I don't know. I'm not looking for a problem with anybody. I just thought that was odd. Him and his female partner, they kept coming close to my bags. I'm like, you're going to trip on my bags. You keep coming closer and closer. You got to give me personal space. You know, so they need to investigate this. There's some racketeering, extortion going on. I'm not looking for a problem with any black American. I don't hate anybody. But I'm not the one. I'm not just some stupid African people can use to make any claim. Because, you know, the people have been trying to trip on my back. And also this Governor Oku, I've been exposing her. I used to carry all my stuff in a stroller. And which is much easier so that people won't try to follow my stuff. And then they said the police, after a Puerto Rican killed a police officer, a white police officer in Queens during like a traffic stop, the Puerto Rican brought out a gun, shoot him. So they said the police was screaming at this Governor Oku of New York that she needs to give them more power at the funeral of that police officer. You know, I think even the wife of that deceased police officer was saying our husband's death mustn't go unpunished at the funeral. You know, so as a black African, I think that police also wants to get me killed. So as soon as that funeral happened, they said the police turned their back on the governor and was screaming that she has to leave the funeral until she gives them more power. So the governor started signing all these crazy laws, targeting me. You know, I've been suing this NYPD. I guess he wants to make it easy for the NYPD to kill me. Saying people shouldn't have strollers unless they have a child. You know, and so that anytime I try to use the bathroom, the police will surround the bathroom. So you have a stroller. You know, and they'll pull me out of the train. So you have a stroller. The governor said no more stroller. You have a stroller, and they'll be trying to arrest me, kill me. You know, so this. I went and left the stroller outside. You know, because they were bothering me everywhere. You have a stroller. You have your stuff's on the stroller. The governor said no, it's illegal. I'm like, excuse me. You know, what's all this first? I parked my stroller somewhere because they've already arrested me, stole my green card. I don't have my ID anymore. So I changed up my stroller in front of the Brooklyn Library. So till I'm able to get my ID, I've been contacting the Nigerian government to give me a passport. My passport has been stolen also. So I can go rent a storage. And they went and stole my stroller and all my luggages, you know. And now they're telling me, now we don't even want bags. Now that you got rid of the stroller, now we don't want bags also. They're going to arrest me for having bags. So I'm not supposed to have anything in America. You know, so they turned this up. So I guess this is why all these people are trying to trip and fall on my bag. So they can either blame me for having bags after the police told me I'm not allowed to have bags in America. Or they can blame the governor and say, assuming I had my stroller and she didn't, you know, seize my stroller with their police force, you know, they wouldn't have tripped on my back. So either way, they just play me like I'm a game of chess, you know. So this is racketeering. So Brooklyn Federal Court, they've turned, even though you issued a ruling in 2013, Floyd versus City of New York, around November 2013, that the police can't hide under the guise of law to be harassing people of color and profiling us and targeting us. Because I'm the only one that bought it. They say, you know, they don't want this kind of bag anymore in America. I'm like, I'm poor. I can't afford a luggage or whatever. You know, I said, I can't get a stroller. So I used to put my bag in a stroller to make it more compact so people wouldn't try to trip and fall. They say they don't want a stroller anymore, especially if you don't have a little child. I'm saying this is against the law. That you can't discriminate against somebody for because of the family size. You know, I'm the only person. My mother's been killed, my father's been killed. So, you know, so please, Brooklyn Federal Court, this governor and this mayor and this police department, they have to be arrested and penalized for coming up with crazy laws. Saying, you know, you can be arrested for having a bag in America, especially carrying a cheap bag. This is what the police was telling me. Now, or that, you know, this governor has now given them power. You know, and this is so crazy. Some years back also, anytime I go to the washroom and I use the bathroom, they'll bring their National Guard that the governor controls to come into the bathroom to harass me. You know, and she was saying, you know, she has the right to run New York any way she wants to, and if you don't like it, get out of town. Get out of town. Like she's telling me immigrants like me to self-deport. You know, so she was using a National Guard soldiers to bother me. They're not supposed to come to the World Trade Center to bother you. They're controlled by the military. They have police officers there and the security guard. The National Guard only for emergency. So she left the National Guard in the World Trade Center bathroom to be bothering me time I try to use the bathroom. Like, because I'm a transgender, I use the women's bathroom. So they say she's a conservative, so I guess she doesn't like transition like me. And she was saying, if you don't like the way she's running New York, get up town. I criticize her. I'm like, what you're doing is dangerous, picking up people, and you're going to get yourself in trouble. And it so happened, 2 years ago, they said there was a snowstorm, and this governor had put all the National Guard soldiers in Manhattan here to be bothering in the World Trade Center, and she forgot to tell them to go to Buffalo, but there was going to be a snowstorm bad in Buffalo, so they can be helping people, and they said 40 people died. They were trapped in the snowstorm. And they were all called 911, but the snowstorm in Buffalo was so bad, they needed the National Guard because they know how to do helicopter rescue services. The police in Buffalo doesn't know how to do it. So they said the 911 couldn't find the soldiers to use because the governor left them in New York, World Trade Center to bother me. And so that's why she stationed them to bother me. Even though there was no emergency in the World Trade Center, there's a color code if New York is under terror alert. And that time Biden was the president, everything was peaceful, there was no terror alert. Like 2 years ago, but they would have put a orange code. It was like, there was no terror alert. So she has no need. And anytime there's no terror alert, you don't deploy the National Guard because they're a branch of the military, and it's like you're trying to overtake the government of Biden. The National Guard is only for real emergency, and there was no terror alert, so the normal police are the ones that does. America is not a military government state. The police are the one that does the regular policing, and she put the National Guard there to follow me around as an immigrant. Which is stereotyping Nigerians as terrorists. They say a Nigerian tried to hijack a plane once, and it was caught. It was just one solo case. Yeah, there are cases of terrorism in Nigeria, but that doesn't make every Nigerian terrorist. And this is an insult to Nigeria also. I should put National Guard to follow me around the battle. In the World Trade Center, anytime I go there to shop in the World Trade Center, even the shops there will call the police on me and the National Guard on me. And they said to tell them to get me. I'm like, I'm in Nigeria, I'm not a terrorist. I said, like I'm one of, they said, America started stereotyping every foreigner as a terrorist after 9/11. I said, it's not fair, even Nigerian wasn't involved in 9/11. So she put the soldiers to follow me around, and anytime I criticize her, online, she will issue a statement, get out of town. If you don't like the way I'm running New York, get out of town. She's going to run any way she can. Okay, now she has to face full responsibility. So she left the National Guard in World Trade Center to be bothering me, and she forgot that there was a snowstorm in Buffalo, and they needed the National Guard, in Buffalo, and she forgot to deploy them to North Buffalo, and they said 40 people got trapped. There's a black American nurse, 23 years old. She got trapped in the snowstorm. My family were wondering when she called 911, and they told her they're going to send rescue, but they couldn't find the National Guard in Buffalo or in Manhattan, chilling, harassing me. I said this lady froze to death. They said what she did was she most likely died of smoke inhalation. She shut her windows up, turned her heater up, and the snowfall went into her exhaust pipe, covered it up. So the carbon monoxide must have gone into her car and killed her. It's like she died sleeping. And as she was talking on the phone, she was telling her family that she feels tired. She's just going to go to sleep. And that's like a carbon monoxide. It puts you to sleep. She said she's just tired. And the carbon monoxide was killing her slowly. She was a young girl and died that way. And they're killing people. This horrible racist in America, and our families still don't have the answer. Now, why does the child have to die that way? And this government's just chilling and not going to be arrested ever because the poor blacks don't have power in this country, and you have all these blacks that are trying to fall on my back also. So they're just killing people in this country, this racist white. And nobody will help. And I've been trying to go to court with all these cases, and they keep bothering me, saying the police they were going to arrest me and deport me. I need to keep my mouth shut. So keep your fucking mouth shut. So Brooklyn Federal Court has to help. Is this like a genocide? This watch with power from Trump to Governor Okwe, and they say now she's aligning with Trump. because Trump says she has to go hard on poor homeless. Otherwise, Trump says he's going to cut up the funding for the subway. So Trump gave her his personal phone number, and I've been noticing things going on. Well, that police always try to arrest me on the train every night. And they told me outside, they said there was a European lady the police threw out like that in the snowstorm, and she froze to death. So they want to kill me like they killed that woman at the Grand Central Station. She was a European lady. They said she doesn't speak English, and she was homeless, and she used to stay in the Grand Central Station. And the police in the 1990s waited till it started snowing bad and threw her out, and they found her next day frozen to death. I'm sorry. So this is very serious. FIFA is not safe to host the World Cup here. My mother was killed also. My mother was saying somebody was employing her daughter, and that daughter was poisoning my mother's food. My mother was criticizing the police at that time. And my mother said that daughter is part of like a narcotic gang. And my mother had to flee Pennsylvania to come back to New York because that daughter violently. I said, how's the Pennsylvania? My mother said she was working with a gang and she was into drugs. I suspect that daughter may be working for the FBI. They say love Africans. The FBI would recruit an African and ask them to frame up other Africans. So she came here and she's a very violent person. She from my mother, she was arrested while she was in charge of beating up the white family my mother placed her with, because my mother took her to Nigeria in 1988. She was out of control here in America. She was getting fights in school in the Bronx. So my mother thought the change of environment would help her. But when we got to Nigeria, she didn't like Nigeria at all, and she was beating up my mother. So my mother arranged with the white family to take custody of her. And as soon as she got back to America, she beat up the white family. That's put her in prison. So I believe she must have been arrested by the FBI. And she always tried to start a fight with me. It's like this FBI is hiring Africans to kill other Africans. And they say if you're a poor black person in America, you're killed, they'll blame it on you that you must have had a mental problem, you're fighting everybody. So it's like a genocide. The Brooklyn Federal Court have to investigate this. The judiciary, the legislature here in New York State, I send them videos all the time on Instagram and all this. They don't respond to me. So it's so corrupt. The court has to step in. This is a piece of power. And there's checks and balances. This is why the law allows to be checks and balances. And nobody should be organizing an authoritarian dictatorship where the black and immigrant lives is being wasted. My mother has been killed herself. This daughter, violently framing her up as crazy while my mother was in the hospital getting treated for heart disease. I got the hospital to lock my mother up. I said my mother got so agitated and she died on the spot. Because she wasn't crazy, she had passed the mental health test, and she didn't know why the Bellevue Hospital was discriminating against her because her daughter, who was born in America, was telling them to do that, to lock my mother up in the psychiatrist and attack her. My mother said that daughter just want custody of my mother because me and my mother were suing and were expecting money from the police department, and she wanted to get that money for herself and use it for drugs for she and her other gang member. I think they say a lot of this FBI informant, they form their own gang and commit more crimes while working for the FBI. So, and terrorize the black and brown communities. It's just good.